Hey guys, it's Israel again. I'm back with Heavy Metal Reptiles, and today I've got Silent Bob out. Um, he really has nothing to do with anything pertaining to this video. He's just who I chose to get out for this video because he's cool. And we're going to get him eggs tomorrow after feeding him some weird ways, I would say. We've done a couple different tricks to kind of to keep him eating here lately because it became trouble finding his eggs. We were supposed to have someone that was going to give us eggs, and it all went downhill after we got him, and it ended up not happening. So tomorrow we get to drive an hour to meet someone in a shady parking lot to get the proper eggs for him. But I've talked to the dude already in person at a show we went to, so I know it's legit, luckily. Anyways, today we're going to talk about high maintenance animals. Even though this guy could fall under that category, I don't have him on this list. We have a set of animals that are on this list. We just aren't getting them out because they aren't quite ready, I'd say, to be out and held quite a bit. They're pretty new to our collection still. It's the reason we don't have them in a video yet showing them off on Instagram. I've had pictures of them up. We're just working on getting them to where they need to even be in the reptile room because of the condition we got them in. So, but we're going to go on to high maintenance animals, or reptiles. Yeah, because it's a reptile channel. So number 5 is Sunbeam snakes, and they aren't a animal that you have to get out constantly or anything like that. They aren't a handling animal, but they're an animal that requires a specific type of humidity or percentage of humidity and temperatures, and outside of those temperatures and humidity can actually cause health problems in a short period of time. So they require, online it says between 75 and 100% humidity. I personally don't let mine below 95%. Once it starts dropping, I start adjusting everything and getting it back up, because I've heard that anything below 100% for too long can cause health issues. So I just leave mine to where the substrate isn't soaking wet, but it's moist enough that it's keeping a high humidity in the air, like I said, around 99%. And their temperatures too, they're never supposed to be below 70 degrees. That is like the absolute dropout. I keep mine around 83-ish usually is what I'm shooting for. High 70s to 83, somewhere in there. But anything below 70 degrees, which is really hard to do normally in a house, at least if you live like we do, the thermostat's always 70 degrees. But anything below that, you can see health issues very quickly. They aren't a beginner snake, I don't think, by any means. Even though they're very unlikely to bite you. I don't think I've actually heard of anyone ever being bit by one. But they're extremely hard to keep everything right, especially if you don't know what you're doing and put them in an aquarium with a screen top. They require a lot of substrate. Some people say that 2 or 3 inches just enough to cover them up is enough. I think that you need at least 4 to 5 inches, enough that they actually feel like they're going underground and burying themselves, because they are a burrowing creature. So you're going to want plenty of that substrate in there for them to move around with, which isn't hard to achieve. But when an animal's better off in like a tub, you got to make sure you're getting a deep enough tub in order to do that. So we're going to go ahead and move on to number 4. So number 4 is African rock pythons. Again, the reason I'm saying that they're a high maintenance animal is because they require a higher temperature, really is the main thing with these guys. So their normal temperature is going to be between 86 and 88 degrees, where you can drop it at night down to like 80 degrees. Obviously it must be these temperatures, but I mean, it's a python. They get sick all the time, so I would stay pretty close to those temperatures as much as I could when keeping them. The other thing is with them is they get so big, so they aren't going to be like a Burmese python. Well, they can be the size of a small Burmese, I guess, or a retic or an anaconda. They aren't going to get those kinds of sizes, but they average around 10 to 13 feet. So it's a bigger snake that you're trying to achieve high temperatures in an enclosure that big that you're going to need for them is going to be somewhat difficult to have all across the board that temperature, depending on how you're doing it too. If you're heating a whole room and then you're doing like a bare minimal temperature for all the animals in the room and then adjusting the enclosures, it might be a little easier. But then again, like I said, this is where it comes into a high maintenance animal that just might be a little easier if you have multiple snakes or reptiles and you're keeping them in a room together. It might be a little easier to maintain their temperatures in such a big enclosure that way by regulating a whole room. They only eat once every 4 to 6 weeks, so it's not like there's a problem there, but the problem comes in is how big the food is. So you're definitely going to have to do some hunting to find bigger feeder animals. Go ahead and move on to number 3. So number 3 is green tree monitors. And green tree monitors made the list because they just have a weird setup that they require. They're going to be 2.5 to 3 feet long, and I think females are the dominant size-wise. I think. I'm not for sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think that the females get bigger than the males. But these guys require a higher enclosure with high temperatures, which can be harder to achieve. And for a monitor especially, it's very important to achieve these temperatures along with their feeding and stuff. They're just going to be a high maintenance animal all the way around. So these guys' temperatures are between 78 and 82 degrees. I had them backwards. I was going to say 72 and 88. Anyways, between 72 and 80 or 78 and 82 degrees, with a basking spot of like 95 to 100 degrees, with as little of an enclosure as they're going to need. I mean, it's not little, but it's not as long. So your basking spot is going to be pretty much half a cage almost, unless you're going way longer, to where it's going to be a little harder to achieve the ambient temperatures over top of the basking temperatures, to where when you reach your 100-degree basking spot, your whole cage might be 95 degrees, and it's just because you have your basking light on. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a little more challenging to maintain their temperatures and things, and that you're feeding every day. So everybody who has any experience or knows anything about monitors knows they're a meat eater. They don't do like lettuce and stuff. I mean, I'm sure that they probably could. I'm not going to say that, so don't quote that, but I'm sure they probably could. I've never seen anybody feed vegetables and things though. So anyways, they're going to eat rodents and things mainly, and these guys specifically will eat every day, at least for a while through their growing spurts and things. They're going to be eating daily, and you can probably step them off to every other day once they get older, or maybe a couple times a week, but still that's a lot of feeding compared to if you owned snakes before, where my ball pythons eat. Most of them now are getting up there to where they're every other week, and they're maintaining weight and growing just fine. So I'll have to put Baphomet's shed at the end of this one. He's shed out. He's pretty cool looking. So go ahead and move on to number 2. So I had these guys at number 1, and I don't know why I have them at number 1, because I'd say what's at number 2 is definitely harder to take care of. But your black and white Tegus, they have a big diet. They're eating 2 to 4 times a week. Buddy, yeah, I see you. They require a huge cage. Well, Depends on what keeper I guess you are, because online they say they can be kept in a 45-gallon breeder or 40-gallon breeder, and there's just no way, not for something that big. But again, you're talking 110 to 100, or no, I'm sorry, 100 degrees to 110 degrees basking area. Their warm side needs to be 90 to 95, which wouldn't be hard with that kind of a basking area. Obviously, you're going to want that warm side probably is going to be right there next to the basking area. So it's going to be a little warmer there anyways. But it can be hard to bring the temperatures down. So usually what I see people do, and what I do with like my leopard gecko, for instance, where they require such a high basking area but also a warm side, is I give them hides that are going to be warmer, but they aren't going to be as hot as their basking area. So that might be a little harder for some people to maintain, but it's got to have a basking area. That's some high temperatures to actually get. Their cool sides are 75 to 80 degrees. Again, with such a high hot side and a basking area, it's going to be hard to get your temperatures down to that side. It's going to take a lot of work on your part to get them there and maintain them. It's a 75 to 90% humidity, so again, with an animal that big, depending on what you're keeping them in, can be hard to achieve those humidities. They're going to be eaten 2 to 4 times a week. And I mean, some people can argue feeding these guys doesn't make them a high maintenance animal, which I guess I can agree with, but still 2 to 4 times a week, and the amounts they eat and what they eat can be a pain. Like, I have trouble sometimes just mixing up my food for the crested geckos. I just go, I don't want to do this, and then I have to force myself to get up and go do it. So take that and then start chopping up lettuce and carrots and everything else. You've really got to want to keep these animals. I say lettuce and carrots, but I don't know if they eat lettuce and carrots. That'd be cool. Like a rabbit lizard. So we're going to go ahead and move on to number 1. Okay, so these guys were number 2, and like I said, I switched them with the black and white Tegus because I don't know why I put them in the order I did. Croc monitors. Now, one thing I didn't mention with the green tree monitors is every monitor is going to need tamed. So that's going to be a high maintenance portion too, where you're going to be handling them a lot more. You're going to be working with them a lot more and trying to keep them tamed down or tame them down. These guys specifically, from nose to tail, can get up to 8 foot. They've been seen in the wild. I don't know if anyone's kept them in captivity at 12 foot, but there are recorded sizes up to 12 feet long. Their basking spots between 110 and 120 degrees. And I couldn't find a warm side for these guys online. I'm sure there is one, but the temperature or the ambient temperature for the whole cage is supposed to be the low 90s. Again, your basking spot being 110 to 120 degrees and then low 90s for the rest of the cage, that's going to be extremely hard for you guys to monitor. Obviously the cage is going to be bigger, so it's not impossible, but you've got to think of all the different heating elements you're going to need to make sure everything in the cage is working properly and getting to the temperatures that lizard needs. You know, some people would say that you don't need hot spots for them or a basking area. For something like this, you definitely got to have a basking area, so you can't cut that out. That's what makes them such a high maintenance, is there's really no shortcuts to these guys either. There's just not. It's what it is, and that's what you've got to achieve. There are some shortcuts to other animals that I necessarily wouldn't recommend, but I mean, people do them, and their animals live, and they're fine. So, I mean, they eat twice a week. So again, twice a week for adults, I should say, but again, that's not insane, but I mean, it depends on how you feed too. Some people feed their monitors until they stop eating. Some people feed their monitors a strict diet, and I mean, it's kind of how you're going to keep. But again, they get big, so you might want to up their prey size a little bit. They might not ever get out of adult rats, so they should be relatively easy to find, but at the same time, you know, they eat more than just rats too. I know some people feed them slug eggs from their breeding collections and things. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and move on to the outro. So, that was kind of like a top 5. I thought it would be fun and kind of to give you guys an idea of what's going to be a little bit more high maintenance. I actually did this video because our Sunbeam snakes, when we bought them, we knew what we were getting into, but we didn't realize the challenge it was going to be to start achieving this stuff. So I thought it would be kind of cool to do a video about it, and you know, I think my videos might be a little boring, but it's cool. I think I get like 3 views on every one, so that means there's 3 consistent people watching. Yeah, I think 2 of them might be my grandparents, so there's 1 consistent person watching out of that. But I mean, it's cool. I enjoy doing the videos for people who come across them and watch them and things. So yeah, anyways, I guess just kind of reach out to me like I've said before, and let me know about videos you guys want to see, and we'll do the research and make sure all the facts are straight and get them out to you guys. It would be kind of cool to do a video specifically for someone who requested, I feel like, but if not, I'll keep coming up with stuff until someone does. So, same normal, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I don't think we have anybody on Twitter or Facebook yet, probably because of a lack of trying. I'm not gonna lie, Instagram is just way easier for me, but if you guys want to find the page and, you know, like the page on Facebook or follow the Twitter page, it's going to be in the bio, right? The description. So if I see people start following me on Twitter or Facebook, maybe I'll start posting stuff to there, because I just, for whatever reason, Instagram's better for the pictures and stuff that I post. So, alright guys, rock on. See you in the next video.